Hello friends, welcome back. In this video, we will discuss some more para summary questions that are generally asked for CAT and other management entrance examinations. As usual, I would like you to attempt the exercise before you watching the video. The link to the exercise is given in the video description. Click on the link, do the exercise and come back and watch the video so that your understanding becomes better and the techniques can be comprehended easily without too much of an issue. So let's directly dive into the questions. So the first question is talking about the shipping industry in countries like Norway, Greece, and Britain, which were maritime nations or nations which were having a lot of coastal areas and where shipping industry is flourishing. Such nations are called maritime nations. And these countries, they had a lot of development in shipping because of the increased demand after the Second World War. However, of these three countries, only Greece was able to sustain that development or that progress in the shipping industry because of the way they adapted to the changing situations or circumstances. They foresaw the decrease in demand for oil tankers. So they very quickly reduced the number of oil tankers they had and then started building dry bulk carriers. As a result of which they were able to adapt to the changing situation, and that made the leaders in the global shipping. This is the essence of the passage. Now let us straight away go to the options. The British and the Norwegians lagging behind substantially in reforming their shipping industry to cope with new challenges is the reason for the Greek dominance in global shipping. Correct. It is sticking to what the passage is saying. The British and the Norwegians lag behind in reforming their shipping industry to cope with new challenges. Is the reason for the Greek dominance. Yes, other people were not able to cope with new challenges while the Greeks were able to cope with the challenges. So that is why their dominance in global shipping uh, happened. Okay, good answer. Keep it in your mind. Option B, the Greeks adapted to the changing dynamics of the global shipping industry faster than the others, thus maintaining their dominance. Yes, it is saying that the Greeks have adapted to the changing dynamics of the global shipping industry faster than the others, so they were able to continue their dominance. Maintaining their dominance means what? They were continue because these three were dominating the shipping industry that we know. Which are the three? The Hasselblad, UK, Norway, and Greece is not unfounded means that theory that the Second World War led to the growth of there was a increase in demand as a result of which maritime nations like this developed. So this is not an unfounded theory. This is a good theory. But what is setting Greek shipping apart is the increase in demands is met promptly, but also the Greek shipping industry shifted from liquid tankers to bulk tankers effectively. So here we know that they were able to maintain their dominance. They already were dominating, so they were able to maintain their dominance. So again, good answer. Option C. The adaptability of the Greek shipping industry worked well in their favor before the creation of the OPEC. So this option basically means that after the creation of the OPEC, the Greeks were not able to adapt to the changing situations. But this is directly contradicting the passage. The passage says that by 1974, the Greek-owned tanker fleet had become the largest in the world. Then establishment of the OPEC nations with Iran. So probably we can say that OPEC was established after 1974. So by 1974, Greek had a lot of largest fleet containing both oil tankers as well as bulk carriers. So we do not know whether the statement only says that shifted from liquid tankers to bulk tankers effectively. By 1974, the Greek owned tanker fleet. So tankers can be either oil tankers or dry bulk tankers because the passage says that shifted from liquid tankers to bulk tankers. So here we have two types of ships. One is liquid tankers, another is bulk tankers. So the Greeks were able to shift their focus from liquid tankers to bulk tankers by 1974. The Greek owned tanker fleet. So this tanker fleet consists of both liquid tankers and bulk tankers because both are tankers, right? So here and establishment of the OPEC nations with Iran decreased the demand for oil means there was a decrease in oil tankers. So there was the oversupply of oil tankers means supply is more than demand. So there means more liquid tankers were there, while conversely the demand for dry bulk cargo carriers were more. So Greeks were able to cash in or exploit that situation because they had both oil tankers as well as dry tankers, whereas other countries were on having only oil tankers. This is the essence of the passage. So whether we can say that after the establishment of the OPEC nations, the Greek industry, shipping industry was not able to adapt. No, even after the establishment of the OPEC, the Greek industry was able to adapt to the situation. So before the creation of OPEC is not a correct thing. So the adaptability of the Greek shipping industry worked well in their favor after the creation of the OPEC rules. So that is why this is wrong. Option D, the reason for the dominance of Greece in global shipping stems from the fact that they have the largest fleet of dry bulk carriers in the world. This is wrong. Why? We have already discussed that in the passage. From the passage, we know that by 1974, the Greeks had the largest fleet of tankers, were not dry bulk carriers. So these tankers consisted of both oil tankers as well as dry tankers or bulk tankers. So this statement that reason for the dominance of recent global shipping stems from the fact that they have the largest fleet of dry bulk carriers is wrong. So this is why this option also you should not accept. You can remove this. Now, what is the better answer? You have two good answers. Which is the better answer? So, in such cases, you have to go through the options very carefully and then try to select a good answer. Option A, the British and the North is lagging behind substantially. So this word creates a problem, means they were very much lagging behind in reforming their shipping industry. That is not stated in the passage. If you read the passage carefully, it is not stated anywhere that the Greeks were miles ahead of the other two maritime nations like UK or Norway. It says that the Greeks were able to exploit the opportunities because of their adaptability. They were able to change their fleet from oil tankers to dry tankers in a very quick manner, as a result of which, when the OPEC was created and the demand for oil tankers got reduced and the demand for dry tankers became increased, the Greeks were able to meet that demand, as a result of which what happened, they weathered the storm, or they were able to overcome the challenges. This is what the passage is. Whereas the British and Norwegians could not cope. So they were not able to cope, whereas the Greeks were able to cope. This is the situation. So now, substantially, they were able to do this in a very big manner, or whether British or the Norwegians were lagging behind substantially, it is not implied in the passage. So this is a weakness in this statement. Option B, the Greeks adapted to the changing dynamics of the global shipping industry. Yes, the dynamics changed means that from oil tankers there was a shift to dry tankers, and the Greeks were able to adapt to that shift very effectively and faster than the others, thus maintaining their dominance. So this is a good answer. There is no weakness here, whereas in option A there is a small weakness. Substantially is a weakness, so that is why this option we can ignore. Option B is the correct. Even though it would appear to be a very innocuous or harmless question, the tricks or the clever issues they insert into the options will make uh, the answer very difficult. So this is what happens in most of the parajumble questions. You have to read the passage correctly, understand the things very minutely, and then you have to find the correct sum. All right, go to the next one. So the next one is talking about the class distinctions in England and how it was viewed by the media of USA or America, where America there was no class distinction, or the compared to Britain, class distinction is very less in USA, and in USA only ambition, talent, and elbow grease are the important things. Means you need to be ambitious, you need to be talented. What is elbow grease? Hard work, working hard, or ability to work hard. So these were the only things that are considered to be limits for your progress. Whereas in Britain, the class or the strata of society from where you belong, these are things that matter a lot, and this is the problem with the British society. So that problem is highlighted in the passage. All right. Let us go to the option. The American media is disproportionately focused on maligning British society based on its archaic class distinction. Archaic means outdated. So the American media is disproportionately focused. It says that the American media is unfairly criticizing the British society on its outdated class systems. So that is not correct. The American media is only bringing about the problems associated with the class systems in Britain when compared with the American society. They are not disproportionately focused on maligning. What is maligning? Tarnishing the image. So that also is not correct. They are not deliberately trying to malign the British society and not in a very disproportionate manner also. These two are not implied in the passage. So that is why this is wrong. Option B, a comparative analysis of the British and American societies brings out the worst that Britain has to offer, even though sociologists refute the charge. This part is correct. A comparative analysis of British and American society. So in Britain, what is there? There is a rigid class system, whereas in America, there is no class system or distinction. If you are ambitious, if you are talented, if you are willing to work hard, you can do anything. You can reach any level. There is no class system that will hinder your progress. So this is why it says that brings out the worst that Britain has to offer. And why this is correct? A quick perusal of the foreign media would certainly paint a picture. So only when you look at the foreign media, you will understand it very correctly. Or when you look at try to understand how the foreign media is viewing the class system that is existing in Britain, you are able to put this in perspective. That is the meaning. So that is why it brings out the worst in Britain that Britain has to offer. Means when you look from the perspective of a foreign media personnel, you will understand the worst things are regarding class system that Britain is offering. And this part is correct, even though sociologists are refuting the charge. Means the sociologists are denying that Britain has a very bad class system. Is it correct? No. Sociologists are also endorsing it. So they are saying that class distinctions do not die, they merely learn new ways of expressing themselves. So that is what a British sociologist is saying. So British sociologist is also saying that in Britain, class distinctions are not dying. They are just finding new ways of expression. One more thing is each decade we shiftily declare, or the British people hesitatingly declare that we have buried class, or we have completely removed the class system. Each decade, the coffin stays empty, means there is nothing inside the coffin. Even if you claim that you have buried class, there is nothing inside the coffin, means the class system is not buried at all. So, sociologists are essentially endorsing the accusation that in Britain there is a class system. So, the refuting means denying, or they are challenging. So, this is not correct. The sociologists are accepting or endorsing the charge, not refuting the charge. This is not a good answer. Option C, the British class structure is still observable and even more so when viewed from a foreign perspective. Very good answer. British class structure is observable or it is still evident and it is very clear when viewed from a foreign perspective. Good answer, keep it in your mind. Option D, the overall situation of the various British social classes has substantially improved in comparison to the rich class. It is talking about whether the other social classes of Britain has improved or not improved, etc. This is not at all stated in the passage whether there is any improvement in the class structure of Britain. So when something is not at all stated in the passage, you need not bother about it. So this is again not an answer that you need to waste your time. So this is the clear and correct option. Option C is the best summary of the passage. All right, now go to the next question. So the next question is talking about the glorification in history books of conquerors, generals, soldiers, etc., who are basically doing a lot of destruction. So what they conquer countries, kill people, destroy a lot of things, but they are considered great as far as history books are concerned. Whereas the people who are actually making the civilization prosper, like people like person who is setting a broken leg or launching a seaworthy boat, calculating the length of the year or maneuvering a field. But these people remain unknown in history. They are not celebrated. They are not given the credit that they are actually due. We only know about the killers and the destroyers. And but the passage says that they are not the people who are moving the civilization forward. The people who are moving the civilization forward are the people who are doing constructive things about which we know very little. So this is the essential argument in the passage. Now, we're talking about the options. Option A, while victorious countries are thought great and statues of the victors erected, they are not the most civilized. Correct as per the passage. They are as savage as animals, and because animals and savages fight. Again, correct. That is stated in the last part of the passage. The real hero is the man who set a broken leg or launched the first ball. So this is again correct. So this option is not a bad option. Keep it in your mind. History books glorify conquerors, generals, and soldiers because they have beaten others in battle and ruled over great territories. They are good fighters like animals and savages, but they do not know what civilization is and have done nothing to make life comfortable to others. So, have done nothing to make life comfortable to others is correct, but they do not know what civilization is. This is not stated in the passage. Whether the conquerors or the soldiers or the generals, they were completely unaware of civilization or what is the meaning of civilization. That is not stated or implied in the passage. So when you say that these people, the soldiers, generals, conquerors, etc., they are completely unaware of civilization. That is not something that is stated in the passage. All other things are correct, but this is not correct. As a result of which, this becomes an incorrect option. Then option three, see, though conquerors, generals, and soldiers are glorified, we know little about the people who made civilization possible. Through small contributions are progress about progress in life. When there are statues of the former, they are not the most incorrect. So it is talking about the people who have made progress possible through their small contributions. Such people are not at all celebrated. We only know about the conquerors, generals, etc. So good answer again. Keep it in your mind. Option D, do we know a great deal about conquerors, generals, and soldiers who are made much of in history? Made much of means they are celebrated or we are given a lot of importance. State statues are raised in their memory as they conquer countries and rule over people. But who thinks of the man who made agriculture possible? They are the unsung heroes. So again, it is talking about the unsung heroes of the world, people who are making agriculture possible. Now, you have three good answers. B, we can eliminate three good answers. Now, how do you select the best answer here? Here, the best answer is something that is effectively portraying the ideas in the passage. When you read the first option, what is the understanding you get? The real hero is a man who has sets a broken leg or launched the first ball. Whereas in this last one, the real hero is the person who made agriculture possible. Whereas option or the passage is that people who have set a broken leg, launching a boat, made agriculture possible, calculating the length of the year, all these are important as far as the progress of the civilization is concerned. So, a better answer will be an answer that generalizes these things. So, civilization is possible through small contributions. These things are making it too narrow. So, option A and option B are making the scope of the passage too narrow by talking only about some select group of people who have made progress in civilization. Whereas option C is exactly talking about the general group of people who have made civilization possible through small contributions. So instead of being specific in such cases, you need to be generic. So that is why this is not a good answer because it talks about only specific cases of people who have contributed to the development of civilization, whereas option C is talking about the generic group of all segments of people who have contributed to the progress of civilization, as a result of which C is the better answer. So I'm not saying that A and D are wrong answers. No, they are correct answers, but your question is to find the best answer. The best answer is very obviously option C. This is another technique you need to remember. You have to understand the thrust of the passage, what the passage is essentially aiming to say, and then accordingly you have to find out the option that gives the thrust in the correct manner. So this is why C will be the correct answer. Again, this is an important question in the sense that you need to understand this technique by reading the passage carefully. Now go to the next question. It is talking about the spirit of man, how a man has an ability to sacrifice himself for his ideals. Those ideals can be for the truth, for faith, or country, for honor, or anything that is important to him. And these ideals keep changing, but he is able to sacrifice himself for that. And this ability of man to sacrifice himself makes him great. And because even though he has a lot of drawbacks, because of this ability, all these drawbacks can be forgiven and there is still hope for a man and he is able to challenge nature and try to master the problems of nature even though he is very small when compared with the universe, but he is able to challenge them. This is why there is something godlike in man, and just like there are a lot of devilish characteristics in man. This is the essence. Now we will go to the options. The self-sacrificing spirit of man to fight for the ideals he holds dear is amazing. Correct? Disasters have not disabled him standing by his ideals. Correct? He has challenged nature and their forces and tried to master them. Correct? The godlike qualities in man neutralize the devil in him. This is wrong. The godlike qualities, are they neutralizing the devil? As he says that there is something godlike in man, just as there is something of a devil in him. So man has both divine qualities as well as devilish qualities within himself. Whether the godlike qualities are neutralizing the devilish qualities, we do not know. That is not given in the passage, as a result of which this is not a good answer. Option B, man's spirit of sacrifice to uphold the ideals which are dear to him is amazing. This undying spirit makes up for most of his failings and keeps his hopes alive. There's a problem here. Does undying spirit makes up for most of his failings? Yes, it is stated here. Much may be forgiven to man. The ideal may change, but that capacity for self-sacrifice continues, and because of that, much may be forgiven to man. Most of the drawbacks of man, the innumerable failings of man can be forgiven, and it is impossible to lose hope for him. We should not lose hope for man, or we should retain the hope that man is going to uh, better himself. That is the meaning. Whereas this option says that it will keep the hopes of that man alive. It is not correct. So this is why keeping his hopes alive means he will keep his hopes alive. Whereas this option says that we, the observer or the author, it is impossible for the author to completely lose hope in him. We still have hope in him because there is a divine-like quality in him, and most of the drawbacks of man can be forgiven because of his this capacity for self-sacrifice, and we still have a lot of hope for him. That is the meaning. So here, keeps his hope alive is wrong. Despite disasters and physical limitation, he has challenged nature with his mind. He has a divine and the devil in him. All other things are correct, but this is wrong. As a result of which, this becomes a wrong statement or a wrong summary. Option C, man's spirit of sacrifice is amazing and undying. With this spirit, he has fought for all the ideals he holds dear and retained his dignity. Most of his failings and limitations can be forgiven. There is no losing hope for him. Everything correct. With his mental power, he has challenged nature and tried to control them. So all the things are correct. So keep this option as a possible answer. Option D, man's spirit for self-sacrifice for truth, country, and honor is amazing. Although his ideals keep changing, his spirit of sacrifice is undying. Two, he has faced disasters and retained his dignity despite being a toy in nature's hand. He has challenged her. He is almost godlike, albeit with some diabolical traits. Again, true. All the things that are stated in the passage are reproduced correctly in both the summaries, option C and option D. Now, when you have two good options, what is the what is the technique? You have to first go through to find out any weaknesses. But in both the cases, there are no weaknesses. Everything is as per the passage. There are no contradictions or weaknesses observable. But then what you can do? Anything that is giving you more information, which is more specific, will be your answer. So, which out of this C and D, which in option is giving you more information? See the last sentence. Option C is not talking about the last sentence, whereas option D has that. He is almost godlike. Albi means even though, with some diabolical traits. So he is almost like a god because there is something godlike in man, as there is something of the devil in it. Albi with some diabolical. Diabolical means devilish characteristics or characteristics of a devil. So he is almost godlike, but with some diabolical traits. This is stated in option D, whereas option C is not stating this. So the best option will be option D. D will be the correct summary. Again, a technique that you need to remember regarding how to select the best option among two or three correct options. This is the challenge you will be facing most of the time. It is not weeding out or finding the incorrect answers. That is very easy. It is selecting the best answer out of possible correct answers is the technique where your skills will come into play. That is why this is something very, very important. You need to focus on this technique now, as the number of days left for the exam is very limited. So should better focus on this technique. Now, go to the last some para. This last para is talking about fashion. What is fashion? The fashion is defined, and then it talks about how fashion goes out of after some time, a new fashion comes in. And what is a fad? Fad is something that lasts for a very short time, and majority of people do not accept fads. And some people who are who want to invite attention to themselves, they become indulged in faddish behavior. So these are the things stated. Now we will straight away go to the options. Option A, fashion is not limited to clothes. It extends to even things like furniture, art, music, and literature. Everything is correct. A product, activity, or activity discontinued by society becomes old-fashioned. True. Majority does not accept a fad that undergoes a quick challenge. So, fad means something that is lasting for a very short time, and majority does not accept it because it undergoes a quick change. So all the things are correct. So this is a possible answer. Keep it in your mind. Option B, fashion is not limited to clothes. It extends to other things, including behavior. Stated in the passage. Fashion reflects a form of behavior. So after saying that fashion is not limited to clothes, it is limited to furniture that you use, homes that you live in, many other products, and the art, music, literature, sports that many people prefer, that are all called fashion. So in a nutshell, fashion means the way you behave or the way most people behave in a society is fashion. So here it says that it extends to other things, including behavior. Means, yeah, as per this option, behavior is also made a part of a fashion like furniture, homes, art, music, etc. It is incorrect. The passage says that fashion essentially means the way most people behave in a society. So here, when you say it extends to other things, including behavior, it is wrong. So that is why this is a wrong statement. Fashion keeps changing and getting outdated. Fashion changing quickly as a fad and not accepted by the majority. So because of this including behavior part, this is wrong. So we can eliminate this option. So you have to understand why the including behavior is wrong. I have very clearly explained it. This statement is a key to that. This statement, this fashion is a thus fashion is or reflects a form of behavior accepted by most people in a society. Here, by definition, is behavior. It is extending to other things, including behavior is wrong. Option C, fashion reflects a form of behavior in a society. Correct. It is not limited to clothes, but includes several things. When a fashion becomes outdated, it is a fad. Only people craving for publicity of for fads, others prefer fashion. Yes, correct. All the things are stated correctly. So, possible answer. Option D, fashion is not limited to clothes. It extends to behavior and other things. It keeps changing depending on the way people respond. Fashion becomes outdated and get replaced by fads. This fashion becomes outdated and get replaced by fads. Is it true? No, it is not true. Fashion and fad are two different things. Fashion means something that is in vogue for some months or years, and then it goes outdated. Fad is something that comes very quickly and goes very quickly. That is fad. So fashion is outdated and getting replaced by fads is not at all stated in the passage. So that is why this is wrong again. So you have two good answers. One is about one is A and one is C. Now, how do you gain the same issue? These are two good answers. Nothing wrong here. No weaknesses in the summaries. Then how you have to select the best answer? Something that gives you more information about the passage. See, if this day is not given in option A. Fashion reflects a point is not limited to clothes but includes several things. When a fashion becomes outdated, it is a fad. Is it correct? When a fashion becomes outdated, it is a fad. Same thing here. This is good. It is saying that people craving for publicity opt for fads. But when fashion becomes outdated, it is a fad. Wrong here again. So what I will have, so this is why you have to be very, very minutely, you have to check the options. So C is again wrong. So what is the answer? Option A is the clear answer. So no issues here. See, if you read in a casual way, you will miss this. So this is why, yeah, I deliberately kept it here. But you have to, when you read it minutely, to select the best answer, you will have to go for this. Otherwise, you will select a C as answer because C is giving you some additional information only people craving publicity of for ad. So this is correct. But when passion becomes outdated, it is a fad means it is wrong. So that is why this is wrong. Option A becomes the correct answer. So I hope you have found the content to be useful. I have deliberately selected questions that have some tricky options or where your ability to find out the correct answer from two or three possible answers is uh, deliberately tested so that your skill to identify the correct answer from possible answers is ensured. I hope the exercise was useful. If you found the content to be advantageous, please like, share, and subscribe, and try to spread the word so that I get maximum reach, which will motivate me to come out with further exercises and videos on the cat topics. Thank you. Bye bye.